The form we are meant to take emerges when we connect with this purpose. Welcome to the Wisdom of the Body podcast. I'm your host, Heather Grzych. Here, we talk about the profound connection between mind, body, and spirit. Join me and other authors, wellness experts, and everyday individuals talk about the importance of listening to our bodies, trusting our guts, and living in deeper harmony with nature. So, whether you're seeking guidance on your wellness journey or simply looking for inspiration, you're in the right place. We're thrilled to be in the top 3% of podcasts globally. You can find the Wisdom of the Body podcast on Apple, Spotify, and most other places where people listen to podcasts. You can follow by joining my email list at heathergrzych.com or by following me on Instagram at Heather Grzych. That's Heather, Grzych. I know you're going to love this podcast, so take a second right now to subscribe. Are you asking what your purpose in life is? Well, you're apparently not alone, because at some point, sometimes super quietly for people, this question will come up. It'll surface sometimes out of nowhere, or it'll keep nagging us. What's my purpose in life? Sometimes it happens in a super dramatic way. Maybe you've had this breakthrough moment, or even a moment of like deep despair and longing. It doesn't mean you're depressed, but it often shows up very big, and occasionally it happens in a very small way where you feel really uncomfortable. You wake up, you feel flat, you look at your calendar, you feel restraint, you feel resistant. You're like, oh, this is my life. And you think about the things that you're going to do later, and you just realize like nothing is really exciting. Nothing's really lighting you up. And then what can be super confusing is from the outside, your life could actually look pretty great. It might look fine. You might look really successful, responsible, reasonable. So it can be really weird when we start asking, well, like, why doesn't any of this feel right anymore? The title is What's My Purpose in Life? Because literally that's the question people are asking. What is my purpose in life? And I think a lot of people are asking this right now because the world is changing so much. And when the world around you changes, it makes you question, like, wait, am I just, how do I fit in now? So what I want to offer you today is a different way of approaching it, because if purpose is lost, it's possibly something you've been overriding for a really long time. Or it could just be something simple, like there's been a huge environmental shift and you're trying to figure out how you fit into it now. But regardless, the question isn't random, and it's definitely not just happening to you. Because research shows that nearly half of adults, 45% of them, say that they frequently feel unsure about the meaning or the direction of their life. And that's beyond a personal failure. That's actually a cultural problem. Most people were taught to build a life from the outside in. Choose something respectable, get a good education, pick a career, stick with it, pick a partner, whatever, push through it. If you bump up against any discomfort, push through it. Don't question things too much. You have a goal and an objective, and your job is to meet it. And you even develop, things that you want, and that can give this sense of purpose. And it's a very interesting question to ask, why we want what we want. And if we want something, it can be very easy to, move toward it. But if we're asking what's my purpose, this is beyond, just a question of like, what do I want to have for lunch? This is a big question. And what happens is over time, many people, they'll develop a very clear picture of who they think they need to be. And in the process of being who they think they need to be, they'll slowly stop listening to who they actually are. And eventually, something in the system pushes back. It doesn't necessarily come back with clarity. It doesn't necessarily come back with knowing exactly what to do. It'll come back with discomfort. It'll come back with resistance, and it'll come back with confusion. And this is usually when that purpose question shows up for people. Have you ever seen the movie Amélie? It's about this French woman. It's very cute. And I think it illustrates someone moving with purpose very beautifully. If you've ever seen it, you'll remember that nothing about her life looks particularly grand, right? She works in a cafe. She's quiet. She's observant. She's kind of like a little awkward. Maybe even mousy would be a word to describe her. Super cute, though. What makes her different is that she notices small impulses. It's very French of her, isn't it? She feels drawn to return to a childhood treasure. She feels compelled to help a stranger. She follows these tiny moments of curiosity and care. She doesn't just all of a sudden go, I'm going to be this now. She doesn't make some big announcement of her like life direction. She doesn't sit down and define her purpose and map it out and like brand herself and blah, blah, whatever. She simply just follows what feels alive. What feels alive. And through those small acts, what happens is that her life starts to feel meaningful and it just begins to take a shape from there. So it's not like I want to be this, I must be this, this is who I am. It is in each moment, she finds exactly what feels alive. And that's actually how purpose works for most people. Even people that have really incredible places and roles in society and, tons of money and big jobs and things like that. It's these small series of choices that feel quietly right. Not like some big declaration, just quietly right. So if you're wondering why none of it feels right anymore, this is important. This purpose doesn't disappear suddenly. It fades. It's like a light that keeps getting dimmer, and it fades when you repeatedly override yourself. Most people don't stop listening all at once. They'll stop listening in very, very small ways. So if something feels like it's draining them and they stay around for it, if they keep feeling like they need more rest or less chaos, maybe more simplicity, and they just ignore that, or dismissing a curiosity because it's impractical, or pushing through when your body is clearly asking for something else. Over time, the body learns that it's not being consulted. And when that happens, motivation drops, the energy drops, and life feels dull or heavy. So there's a word for this in Ayurveda. It's called Agni. Agni is the fire god. It's like this little flame that burns inside you, and its purpose is to digest and metabolize the experiences, things that come in through your senses, the food that comes into your body, so that it can transform it and use it to regenerate your cells, your tissues, your being, so that you can continue to live. So this purpose, this fire, it is life-giving and life-sustaining. So when the body learns that it's not being consulted and that fire dies, it's not necessarily laziness, because we could be still working very hard. We could still be, accomplishing all the things that we need to accomplish. The program's still running on whatever was programmed before, but it's not laziness. It's just a misalignment. So when people say, I don't know my purpose anymore, what they're often experiencing is a long-term pattern of self-override. And here's the part that surprises people. Purpose doesn't usually feel exciting at first. It often feels like relief or a sense of settling. It might be like a quiet clarity, less inner resistance. Purpose feels less like, this is it, and more like, oh, this feels honest. Oh. And that's why thinking your way into purpose, it doesn't work very well. Like trying to identify what your purpose is as this thing that is outside of you, as this goal that you must attain, or this thing that you must be. Thinking your way into it doesn't work very well. Purpose is not a cognitive decision. It's an embodied one. And it emerges when your system starts trusting itself again. This is now where people get stuck, okay? We've identified, oh, maybe there's an issue with this fire here. Oh, maybe I'm not fully embodied right now, right? Because if we're really listening to our bodies, this doesn't happen. There's a lot of reasons why we don't. But now that we have identified that maybe we're lacking in the purpose department, this is where it can be a little tricky. People think that purpose requires some big move, like quitting your job or going back to school or changing everything. People want to make really, once people identify that the purpose is compromised a little bit in some way, they want to make really drastic changes. But purpose starts much, much smaller than that. It starts when you notice what gives you energy instead of what drains it. When you stop forcing yourself into roles that feel false, that don't feel like you and your essence. When you take small steps that feel like relieving to you rather than impressive. When you recognize that you want something because you think you're supposed to want it rather than your body really wanting it. And you listen to your body and you let it guide your choices, because you have to know that you're wanting something because you think you're supposed to want it. And you have to know the difference between that and something that you actually want. Like, have you ever felt fears or resistances? You have to listen to them. You have to see what you feel underneath resistance when you let it go. So when you let the resistance go, what do you feel underneath it? When you have fear and you stop resisting against the fear and you let the fear pass over you, what happens when you let that fear pass over you? When that's moved on? Because there's small alignments, they're going to create momentum, and momentum creates clarity, and clarity reveals your purpose. You're not going to just leap into it. I know there's a lot of books that will tell you, like, you have to leap into things. Sometimes you do have to leap. Sometimes you just have to grow into it. And you grow gradually, incrementally. It's not necessarily like a feeling of depression, but it's like a little dimness. And people oftentimes reach out to therapists in moments like this. Sometimes people reach out to astrologers. With Ayurveda, people learn to allow their natural urges to build this thing we call Agni. You know, your inner fire, your inner metabolic fire. That fire in the belly, that's purpose. And that external object, that thing we think we're supposed to be, it's always a fiction, at least partially a fiction. The form we are meant to take emerges when we connect with this purpose. It is what regenerates us in a healthy way. So if you're asking, what is my purpose in life? I want you to hear this. Start small. Start so small, because the question right now is not a problem to solve. It's not a problem to solve. It's a signal worth listening to. Don't go into problem solving mode. Listen to your body, because something wants you to come back into alignment. And that starts not with answers, but with attention, being aware of the body, being aware of how things in our environments are affecting us, how our actions feel when we take them. All right, we're going to be back for a continuation of this. But in the meantime, go ahead and practice this quick body awareness exercise, like a few times a day, maybe 3 times a day. Can you commit to that? Like morning, afternoon, evening. One body awareness exercise. Stay with me. Here's how you do it. You can do this seated, standing, or even lying down. You can do it alone or with other people. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Bring your attention to your legs. Bring your attention to your arms. Next, the whole front torso and the whole back torso, navel, center of the chest, whole body, whole body, whole body. Good. Now you're connected back, and you can listen to your inner voice, and it'll sound like a voice just like this. Listen to your body. Do this again 3 times a day. We'll be back soon. Good work. Thank you for tuning in and dropping in with us today. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. I really want to hear your feedback. Visit heathergrzych.com. That's Heather, GRZYCH.com. And meet me here next time on the Wisdom of the Body.